Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a major strategic shift over at MicroStrategy, all based on what CEO Michael Saylor has been saying recently. And he's made one thing crystal clear. The entire purpose of the company has been redefined.
Okay, let's get right into the central idea that kind of changes everything. For years, right, everyone saw MicroStrategy stock as just a simple way to get exposure to Bitcoin. But Saylor is now saying, loud and clear, that era is over. The stock isn't the final destination anymore. It's just one part of a much bigger structure.
And this is the question that just reframes the whole company. To really understand the answer, we have to look at what Saylor sees changing in the market. And I'm not talking about the daily price swings that get all the attention.
To get a handle on this new product, you really have to separate the short-term market noise from what Saylor considers the real, long-term structural progress. So, judging the company, or even Bitcoin itself, just by looking at a price chart, you're completely missing the real story that's happening underneath.
See, Saylor's argument is this. While the short-term markets are just driven by emotion and a ton of leverage, the long-term is shaped by things that are way more durable. We're talking about regulatory rules, investor access, and how new capital is being formed. And that's where the real work has been getting done.
So what does he mean by that? Well, while the price was kind of lagging, the entire financial infrastructure around it was being rebuilt. The entire regulatory conversation shifted, basically framing Bitcoin as a commodity. And this is crucial. The ability to get credit against Bitcoin-linked assets went from being almost impossible to, well, at least experimental. So this wasn't a failure, it was a graduation. It was Bitcoin moving into a more mature asset class.
Now let's see how all of this builds into a new three-layer framework. And this right here, this is the absolute key to understanding MicroStrategy's new strategy and, well, its new product.
So this illustrates the entire vision. It's an architecture where each layer just logically builds on the one right before it. You start with this raw, powerful asset, and we refine it into something that the broader financial world can actually use.
The base layer, the foundation, is just pure Bitcoin. Saylor calls it digital capital, and he argues its volatility, well, that isn't a flaw. It's actually a feature of an asset that can't be corrupted. This layer provides all the raw, unrefined economic power for the whole system.
And this middle layer, this is where MicroStrategy operates. This is their new product, digital credit. Their job is to be credit engineers, taking that volatile digital capital and creating these instruments that strip away most of the crazy price swings, but preserve all of its economic energy. And then, finally, you've got the top layer, digital money. But here's the thing. This isn't for MicroStrategy to create. Nope, this is for banks, for funds, for other platforms to build on top of using that stable digital credit layer that MicroStrategy provides as a foundation. This is the layer that everyday users and institutions will eventually interact with.
This analogy just perfectly captures what the company's trying to do. They don't want to be a consumer-facing bank. They want to provide the essential credit infrastructure, the engine, so that other financial institutions can come along and build their own vehicles on top of it.
Okay, so this new focus on creating this pure engineered credit, it raises a question that Saylor gets asked all the time, especially when other crypto companies start to look cheap.
And on the surface, it sounds pretty logical, right? Buy a struggling competitor, get their Bitcoin at a discount, maybe even turn the business around. But Saylor argues that doing that would be absolutely fatal to their core mission of creating digital credit.
And here's why. A pure Bitcoin balance sheet gives you certainty. It is clean, it's liquid, it's uncomplicated. But the moment you acquire an operating company, you contaminate that clean balance sheet with everything Bitcoin was designed to get rid of. Employees, contracts, lawsuits, hidden liabilities that might not pop up for years. And this is the bottom line. Credit investors, they aren't buying a turnaround story. They are buying certainty. They need to know exactly what collateral is backing their investment. The ambiguity and the sheer complexity of an operating business, it just destroys that certainty, and it makes their core product, digital credit, impossible to issue credibly. So this brings us right back to our original question and the new role for MicroStrategy's stock in this whole grand architecture. If it's not the product anymore, then what? What is it for?
For years, the stock was the product. It was the destination for investors who wanted a simple proxy to get Bitcoin exposure in their traditional brokerage accounts. For a long time, there was really nothing else that was as easy to access. But now, that phase is over, and the equities purpose has fundamentally changed. It is no longer just something you buy. It's the thing that makes everything else possible.
It's the foundation of the entire structure.
Its new job is purely structural now. It exists for really two reasons: to accumulate more of that base layer, that digital capital, and to provide the durable balance sheet that's needed to give credibility to the digital credit products that are built on top of it. It's being optimized for strength and for stability, not for short-term price excitement.
And that leaves us with the final thought. What Saylor's doing is building this new financial architecture in real time, piece by piece. So the ultimate question is this the blueprint for a new kind of financial institution, one that's built for a digital world? Or is it just a fascinating and very expensive experiment? Whether the market recognizes it today or not, that structure is being assembled right now.